So let's now continue where we left off in Matthew chapter 5. If you could turn there. Remember we were in Leviticus 19 and we saw where God said to love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, you shall not hate your brother, but love your neighbor as yourself. That's back in the Old Testament. And then we went to Matthew 5 and the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 5, verse 43, where Jesus is speaking, and he said, you have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And we went through a number of passages in Leviticus 19. And if you have a concordance, you can easily search for that quote in the Old Testament, and you'll find out it's not there. We can't find that passage. So why is that? Did the Lord misquote the scriptures? No, he didn't say, as it was written. He didn't say the prophet Isaiah said. He didn't say as Moses has written. He said, you have heard that it was said. Now that's an unusual construct. You have heard that it was said. Jesus is not correcting the scriptures as many Christians have been taught. He's taking what was harsh in God's word in the Old Testament and making it nice for the New Testament. That's not true. What the Lord is doing is he's correcting the misunderstandings and the false teachings that twist the scriptures. So you have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And Jesus says, no, that's completely incorrect. Now, when people take that understanding of the Sermon on the Mount and they think that Jesus was correcting the scriptures because the scriptures were unreasonable and he's giving a loving interpretation, then they fall into all kinds of error. And those errors hurt their ability to love their neighbor. One of the errors is you shouldn't judge. And if you don't judge and your neighbor is destroying himself, then who are you to warn him?